Alright, everyone, welcome back. So, it's time for your monthly dose of the Boston Bruins. Um, every month I make a video on Boston, or like every few months. But this is the first time in a while that I made a video solely on just the team itself, the Bruins. So, they have been dominant. They have been hot again, and there's no other way to say it. They've been hot. Now, it's funny that I'm saying that because they're coming off of a loss at the time we're recording of this video, but I had this video planned for a while to make it today. A lot of people believe that the Boston Bruins were going to fall off this year. They weren't going to be as good of a team. Well, I didn't disagree with them falling off, but I did agree with the fact that they wouldn't be the dominant team they were last year. Well, guess what? They are. They still are. And we doubted a lot of parts with this team. And we doubted a lot of players on this team, too, who have really stepped up to the plate with some of the guys they lost, like Bergeron and Krejci. Losing those guys in the center depth was a massive loss for this team, and we thought that it was going to really affect them. It has, but not to the extent we thought it was going to. So, as of right now, they're 13-1-3 for 29 points, and they're first in the NHL. Pretty much the same record they had the last time I made a video on them back in November of last year. I am making this about 2 weeks later than I did last year, but regardless, they're still in the same spot. One regulation loss, and only 13 of those in the last 99 regular season games. So think about that for a second. That is the combined amount between this season and last season. Only 13 of the last 99 games this team has played have been regulation losses. A few of them have been overtimes. If you add in overtimes, it's like about 25, probably somewhere around there. They've had a lot of overtime losses. But regulation, it's very hard to beat this Bruins team. They are such great offensively, defensively. They have good goaltending. They got numbers at every side that back them up. So they've scored 60 goals for, and have only let in 37. They're 7-0-1 at home. So they haven't lost at home in regulation in a very long time. It's kind of reminding me a lot of the Bruins in the 70s. Not that I was alive in the 70s, but I know from looking at documentaries and stuff that the Bruins, obviously, they were very hard to beat at home back in the day. And being a Flyers fan too, I've seen my fair share of that. And no, I'm not 70 years old. Don't ask me about that. They're 6-1-2 on the road as well. So they're also a very good road team. They can win at home. They can win on the road. Regulation, overtime. They can do it any way you wanna. Honestly, they can do it any way you wanna. And one of the concerns that was with this team heading into this year was the offense. Now, I'm gonna say this: it is a concern. I'm not gonna lie. It is a concern that the offense hasn't been there. It's not to say it hasn't been there, but it's not the offense that was last year's offense, where it was so good. But again, a lot of players have left since then, so of course the team's going to be different offensively. So that really doesn't surprise me, and I think it's a concern that they're obviously going to address at the trade deadline. They're going to work ways around that. They're going to go out and acquire a really good forward, because that's what Boston does at the deadline. They go out and acquire a really good forward. They've done it so many years in a row now. But yeah, like it's a different team offensively. So obviously the offense is going to lack a little bit, but it's kind of what I expected, honestly. So your leading scorer is David Pastrnak. 17 games played, 12 goals, 17 assists, 29 points. I believe he had better numbers this time last year. Not to degrade him this year, but again, like the offense just isn't the same as it was. It's not like it took a huge step backwards, but it's still not what it used to be, which we obviously know that. But yeah, Pastrnak having himself a really good season as per usual. Brad Marchand then next. 17 games played, 7 goals, 12 assists, 19 points. He's still the captain of this Bruins team, taking a very good role in their 100th season. But still, going out there, laying the body, getting in people's heads, doing what he did so many years before in his career. He's looking like that guy. Charlie Coyle then, third in scoring. Yeah, Charlie Coyle. He has 17 games played, 6 goals, 9 assists, 15 points. With a lot of center depth and winger depth being lost last year, it gave Coyle a big opportunity to step up in the lineup. And Coyle's done that so far with Boston. he was looked at as one of the worser contracts on this Bruins team a few years back, but now it's looking like one of the better ones because he's put up some pretty good numbers so far this season with Boston. Pavel Zacha scored a very nice goal against Tampa last night. 17 games played, 7 goals, 7 assists, 14 points. And a lot of people doubted Boston and Zacha because, like, oh, Pavel Zacha's your number one center? He was like your fourth line center last year. But no, he's done a very good job playing this first line center role. And let me be honest, I'm not degrading Zacha at all here, but when you're on a line with Pastrnak and Marchand, like that's a line that's gonna be kick ass. So no matter what center you put there, you're gonna do well, no question. So yeah, that's why I think Zacha's done a very good job. And then James Van Riemsdyk, JVR. I'm not saying I didn't see this coming, but who would have thought he would have been fifth in scoring? 17 games played, 5 goals, 8 assists, 13 points. It seems like for a guy like him, being put on that power play, it's really helped him a lot. He's a great offensive forward. I didn't think he'd be this good because obviously in Philadelphia, all those years before, he wasn't. He just wasn't the player that, Philadelphia wanted him to be. But in Boston, he's been that guy. So it's great to see as a Flyers fan. I'm very happy to see JVR doing well. But yeah, that's your top 5 in scoring. Some other notable players, you got Jake DeBrusk. DeBrusk, not on a positive note, more on a negative note. He's been struggling. It just hasn't been there this year offensively for him. He was scratched in a game because he was late to a team meeting. People said it looked like the Tyler Seguin, and he's going to get traded to Dallas now. No, I don't think so. He has requested a trade in the past. That is something that did happen. But, with DeBrusk, hopefully he can start picking it up soon. It just hasn't been there offensively for him. He can't seem to score. That's just his biggest weakness right now, playing for that team. Matthew Poitras, hell of a player. It's cooled down recently, but still a hell of a player. 8 points and I believe 17 games played. Made the Bruins roster. He's played really well. He's been good on both ends of the rink. Johnny Beecher as well has looked good as also. And I remember I looked through the comments of last year's video and people said that the Bruins struggle with developing young players. Well, I'd say now that they got Poitras, Beecher, Mason Laray's played a few games up. I am liking the way this Bruins prospect pool. Some of these guys have graduated, and they still got guys like Lee Sell down there too to develop. Lee Sell's still developing, so I'm very optimistic to see all those guys pan out. 100%. And then, of course, again, Charlie McAvoy. At this time last year, I think he was hurt. I think he was injured. So, it's good to see him back in the lineup playing really well. Didn't make the top 5 in scoring, but still a really solid defenseman out there as he usually is. At the goaltending end of things, it's Swayman this year, it seems like. Swayman's done a really good job at net for Boston. 9 games played, 7-0-2, a 2.09 goals against average, and a .933 save percentage. Swayman has played a really good season so far. He has a really good blue line in front of him, but he's playing games, keeping the Bruins in it, and doing a very good job. Olmark, too, has done good. Just 8 games played, 6-1-1, 2.23 goals against average, and a .928 save percentage. Now, again, this time last year, Olmark was awesome, and Swayman was not that good. This time, it seems like both of them are doing pretty damn well right now. So I expect them to probably be the William and Jennings winners again. Not gonna lie, I expect them to be. And then finally, the final thing I have to say here is their upcoming games. The upcoming games for the rest of November, they're pretty easy. They have only 2 playoff teams in there. 3. You got Florida. That could be a fun game. Florida's been very good the past few games. Then you got Detroit. Detroit's been solid. New York's been very good. Columbus, and then San Jose. So they have a pretty good end to the month of November. They have some difficult tests in there, but they still have a pretty decent shot to go 5-0. They really do. They still look like that dominant team from last year. I hope they go far in the playoffs. Boston's genuinely a team that I think they're destined for a run eventually. And the hope is that will happen this year for them. I love the way they're playing right now. I love this roster. They're very entertaining to come on here and talk about and watch. And they're one of my favorite teams in the NHL. So yeah, hopefully Boston keeps this going. But regardless, let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, hit the subscribe button down below. I greatly appreciate it. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.